Hello and welcome to Act Digital Blog. This blog is created and managed by students of Group 7. In this blog, and to hide our identities, we all chose female pseudonyms in recognition and honor of all the female activists throughout the history. My name is Huda, and today I am here with two of my group mates, Nabawiya and Habsa. For identity protection and privacy reasons, we will not reveal the identity of the speaker today. Today, we are very pleased to welcome a unique guest. They are someone who is deeply involved with the current situation in Iran. We hope to learn a lot about new media development and ICT in regards to the feminist political movement that is ongoing in Iran. Now I will let them introduce themselves in whichever way they see fit.
All right, so thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm a woman from Iran and now an immigrant, and very much looking forward to our discussion.
We as well are so much looking forward to this conversation. We have prepared some questions, so let's start with it. How do you think, how important are digital platforms for communication during these days? Whether you're an immigrant or whether you're inside of the country, how is digital platforms important and how much does it affect the communication these days?
All right, so yes, definitely important because I've noticed that people now are more aware of some incidents, and the reason is that we have social media nowadays because I really want all of you to know that Iranian people, Iranian women, we have been fighting for our rights for years. It's not just a recent thing. Just recently we have been heard. And is it just because of social media? I'm not that sure, because very similar things happened like even a year ago, but a lot of people don't know about those incidents. But social media existed, right? So my question for you is that why people don't know about those even recent incidents, but now that we are talking right now, they know about for example, Mahsa Amini's murder and other incidents. So please think about this, or maybe people who are going to listen to this podcast. It's my question, and actually Iranian people's question. Why recently? Now you know. Because very similar things, as I said, happened last year even, all right? And a lot of people were killed. They were loud, maybe even louder, but just recently a lot of people know. Personally, I think that it's because it's not just people. Always we have other, sources of power.
And apparently they want us to be heard this time.
When you say they want us to be heard, who do you mean by they want us to be heard?
Well, politicians. Yeah, very specifically politicians, yes.
From within Iran? Or you think it's an external influence?
Exactly, yes. And when you talk about this, especially as an Iranian woman, a lot of people get you wrong. I don't care anymore, because they immediately think that you're anti-American. Come on, I'm not. I don't believe in conspiracy theories. It's a fact. Because I remember when a couple of years ago, they shut down the internet as an individual. I vividly remember that. And just recently, Elon Musk said something, and they're going to give access to the internet. But it's just recent. But this could have done before.
But going back to your point about whether an external influence is taking place or not, now why would the Iranian people be impression that it's a conspiracy theory from America or from any other foreign government? Why is that the thought and the mind, knowing that for years you already have been victims of that system and you already didn't like what's happening? So it doesn't really need any external help to think there is an agenda, because the agenda is locally shared. Isn't that so?
Yeah,
That's a very good question uh, because unfortunately, when you read history, you see you can track that kind of interference. So that's why I think at least we think that maybe at some point they're going to help us. But personally, I really don't think that it's just kind of like support. If they are going to, for example, provide access to the internet when the internet is shut down, I'm sure they want something in return. So it's not just support. I really like an Iranian poet, and poetry is something that it's always with us. And years ago she says that your savior is in the mirror. So look at the mirror. That's you. You are your own savior.
Why now? Since you said that 10 years ago something happened, last year something happened, it has been happening for a long time. It's not a hidden fact. So, and for a very long time, with the Iranian nuclear situation and America and everything, for a very long time, there was some friction between foreign governments and Iran. So why now would they like to actually interfere and spark the revolution much more? Why not last year? Why not 10 years ago, when the whole thing happened in Egypt, in Syria, in Tunisia?
Yeah, exactly.
We ask this question when we talk about ourselves. We are not really sure, but sometimes I really think that because some countries that they have power, they don't want us to be free. Because when the situation in my country is unstable, there are many benefits for certain countries. So they benefit from that. They don't want my country to be free.
What do you think is the big difference from earlier movements compared to this one now?
Yeah, this is a very good question. This one, yes, very different. There is no leader, first of all, because the other ones, So no leader, and then who is the leader? Women. That's the difference.
Could you sort of elaborate a little bit more on how women are leading these protests? What are they doing? How are they making their voices heard? And how are they just, encouraging this? I mean, it's been more than a month since the protest started, and it's not ending. Yeah,
so
exactly.
What's happening? Could you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, of course.
We have been fighting for our rights for years.
And I think recently the definition of freedom has changed. For me personally, I really believe that freedom is living without fear.
And overcoming your fears, okay? And we are practicing it right now. Many women right now on the streets, and even right now, I dare to have a podcast with you. So in different ways, we are doing that. And I think it's because we have realized that, just having a headscarf or not having it, that's not just, the main issue. There are many other issues. We are fighting for, having a normal life as a human being. And there are many things that we are banned. And the sexism that we experience inside Iran is so real. So, we really want all these, sexist rules to change. And I think we have realized that. I think we have realized that we are alone. And we are not, waiting for support anymore. We have realized that we have to just do it ourselves. There is no one out there to help us. And yes, some Iranian men have joined us. Good. Welcome. If you don't, then you're in front of us. Join us. That's the point.
We asked many questions, but we have much, much more to go.
Of course.
And it's very interesting topic, of course.
I'm just wondering, sort of, with the internet blocks and everything, how have people been able to connect with people on the outside? I think there are sort of intermittent internet connections, and you're trying to make voices heard outside of Iran and trying to make this aware. Like, how have internet platforms, social media platforms enabled you to amplify these voices, do you think? And my other question would be, we've seen a lot of sort of art, music, posters, graphics, and everything being used. What would you say is one of the most powerful sort of these media that has come out that has also served to amplify the voices of the people in Iran?
Yeah. Well,
Well,
definitely.
definitely.
If
If
you
you
check
check
Mahsa
Masa
Amini's
Amini's
hashtag,
hashtag,
yeah,
yeah,
it's a
it's a
trend.
trend. One thing that a lot of Iranians do is that they go and use the hashtag on the recent post of a very, like, I don't know, a person who has a platform. They go and use that hashtag, and they want them to take action. This is one thing. I don't do it, again, because I really believe that we are really alone. Wow. Yes, we are. So that one, no, I don't do it. But yeah, on social media, yes. But one thing that a lot of us try to remember, because they shut down the internet, and it's so real. And another issue is that a lot of posts about Iran are taken down by Instagram, for example. So that's why I really believe that, some people really don't want us to be heard. So please check that one. So a lot of people don't like Zuckerberg dude in my country because of these things. And it's so real.
All right. But
Anyway,
anyway, so
sometimes
sometimes
we
we
compare
compare
the
the
current
current
situation,
situation,
which
which
is
is
a
a
revolution.
revolution.
Let's
Let's
call
call
it
it
a
a
revolution.
revolution.
With
With
the
the
revolution
revolution
that
that
happened
happened
in
in
1978. Yeah, that one. So we always compare, right? And a lot of people are like, hey, we didn't have the internet at that time. So don't worry when the government shuts down the internet. Just come because uh, uh, because a lot of things are happening on the streets, not on social media. Still, social media is so virtual to us. So people know that it's good to use the hashtag. Yes, you get a lot of attention if they are not, your posts are not taken down. But the reality is that you really need to go out and attend the protests. Yes. So I really don't think that, especially like right now, no, you cannot do a revolution online. Yeah, so that's why people are like, okay, they shut down the internet, or they filter the internet. So that's why we call the internet filternet. that's what we have, all right? And let me tell you one more thing. So we use VPN. Do you know what VPN is? All right. And who gives us access to VPN? It's from outside. And recently, we have realized that it's in the news, the local news, that one person who is in charge of providing the Iranian people with VPN is the son of one of the governors.
Oh,
yeah.
And how does this person do that? He goes to Canada, and through Canadian system, they provide VPN for us. So I saw a lot of posts, and they're like, this situation is so ironic. We use a VPN, and it's provided from outside by one of the governors through their lobbies or whatever to come and see so what's happening here. So they are like, this is so ironic. So that's why, yeah, this is not a conspiracy theory, folks. It's not.
Yeah.
But then I can see the irony that we're talking about here, and especially
Yeah.
when you mentioned that in 1970, 1980, 1978,
78.
in the previous
Yeah.
in the previous revolution, there was no internet, and therefore
Yeah.
there was no need and use of it. Nowadays, it's a different situation. But then back to you what you mentioned about what's happening on the streets. So people are saying you don't have to worry. We've done it before without the internet,
Yeah.
so we don't have to worry about the filter net in that case. But then on the other hand, you do see that there are huge foreign involvement and supervision and
Yeah.
trying to sneak a peek through the internet. So in that sense, we cannot really ignore it entirely. Yeah, we tell
Yeah.
ourselves we've done
Exactly.
it without it,
Yeah.
but it's a different time where we need to address it. So
Yeah.
how do you feel that digital activism and sharing information can be done in a safer way and a more approachable way in your time now?
So I think by now it's clear that there are many battles, right, for Iranians. It's not just the local one. I think it's very clear now. And to be honest, it's not safe. It's not safe. Again, that's why I think we really think that freedom is overcoming your fears. So when I share something on the internet, I know that it's public, although I share it only with my friends, okay? And I know that I might face some consequences. So in terms of that kind of definition of safety, it's not safe at all. And we know that everything is controlled, and we don't trust, like for example, Facebook authorities or Instagram authorities. We don't do that. But well, it's so common, and still we use it, and I think it helps. But the thing is, we need that reminder that even if you don't have it, then just remember that in the previous revolution we also didn't have it. So it's not safe. I don't think it's safe. You need to accept that, and then you can act differently.
Yes, just in regards to it not being safe,
Yeah.
for activists in Iran right now,
Yeah.
is it clear of how to conduct or how to express words and audio, video in a safe manner?
I think they know that, again, I think they know that it's not safe, and they do it anyway. Because, of course, you can be heard, and still, of course, we are human beings, and I think by default we tend to be hopeful, right? We tend to believe that it's possible to trust. That's why they do it, and I think they know that it's not safe. And, a lot of bloggers, a lot of podcasters, a lot of vloggers, they have been arrested. And sometimes we are like, wow, how they could, track and find the identity of this person. So that's why we really think that our government is supported by other governments, unfortunately.
If the internet is totally shut down now again for a very long period, what would be your other options then to have the word heard and to have communication and uh, organize protests?
It happened. It happened 2 years ago. Yeah, and they killed more than 1,000 people.
And
during the shutdown.
Yes.
If that will happen again today, how would people try to overcome or fight back such an action from the government?
If we have these like satellites proposed by Elon Musk, what's the name of that? Do you know?
Starlink.
Exactly. Maybe, yeah, maybe, yeah. Otherwise, some people, they're like, okay, I will go and yeah, I know that I will be killed. And then some people, again, I think they're human beings and they have the right to be scared, right? So they decide to shut up. Yeah. So it happened, and it's awful. And we ask for this kind of, access to the internet, but no response. And the response was, I remember from President Trump, that I have Iranian friends. They are awesome people.
That's helpful.
Right? Or like the UN, seriously. What does the UN do? Like recently? Just statements, empty statements? Come on, you can hold people accountable. You have the power to do that. So again, I see a lot of posts about UN, and another question that Iranian people have is that, what are you doing? We want to see your agenda.
Well, as I recall, many years ago, when similar events were taking place in some Arab countries, the feeling was quite mutual as it is now, and questions were raised, and the feeling of security and safety were almost totally disappeared. So you wouldn't know who to trust, who's your friend, who's not listening to you, and who's listening to you. And if someone says this should be changed, what is their agenda for the change? So I can imagine where you're coming from.
yeah,
We're clearly seeing a gender element to these protests. Women are leading the protests. They want to stand up for their rights and they want to change things from the bottom up, basically. Like they're on the ground, they're fighting for their rights. I've also heard that there are a lot of teenagers who have been among those who've been killed.
yes.
My question is that do you think there's also a generational gap? I mean, I think those in authority are all quite a bit older, and the younger generation, who are only a few years away from voting for themselves, have almost no representation or nobody who can sort of speak for them in the government. So, what would you kind of say to this? Like, is it the young people who are also leading this protest, or do you have older people sort of supporting them in this? Or is there a clear division, or is it very much everyone on the ground is just, we're fed up, we're done, something needs to change?
Actually, there's a debate on social media about this, because some people are like very, excited to see very young people, fighting for their rights, especially girls. And then some people are really concerned about their safety, and they are like, it's not their responsibility to do that. It's too soon. And yeah, especially like 7-year-old girls. So yeah. And then when I personally think about it, well, I think they are standing for their rights because they are being oppressed. And something is very ironic, because it's not religion even, by the way. We can talk about it like for hours. But seriously, according to some rules, again, I'm not sure who has written these rules, but anyway, the rule says that a girl after 9 years old should cover her hair. But when you go to school, you have to do it when you're 7. So I'm like, why? All right, and it's not just me, a lot of people. So it shows that it's their rules. And so when I see these young people, I'm also very concerned about their safety, and I understand that it's not their responsibility. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, they are being oppressed, and they have realized that, and they want to show their objection, and they want to protest. Yes, there is a kind of gap, and the reason is that, for example, my generation, I was born in the middle of Iran-Iraq war, and I saw the revolution, green movement, let's say, and then yes, I got really disappointed, and I decided to leave the country after that. So we have seen that even when you take the risk, and when you really dare to protest, even when a lot of people do that, sometimes it's not possible to win. So my generation is not that hopeful. But again, because we are human beings, we are not hopeless. But the generation that you are talking about, yes, they are very hopeful, and I see myself when they speak and they share their concerns. We are all connected, so I don't see any gap, but I think we have experienced a lot of similar things, and we didn't see substantial changes, realizing that people around the world are not actually with us, and they care if we are in the news. And they discuss our issues over a cup of coffee. Accepting that and realizing that, this is so real and we are so alone in this struggle, I think it made us hopeless, sometimes. But I don't see that in new generation, because they know that we are alone. All those SOS hashtags, please give us internet, still coming from my generation. They experienced travel ban, so-called travel ban by President Trump. They know that they are alone. They know that immigration is not a solution. They know that if they go and live in another country, they have to deal with Islamophobia, Iranophobia, a lot of other things. I think that's why they are really fearless. But my generation, we experienced immigration, and we really thought that, we leave the country and we are going to live in a free world, that kind of mindset. And then we got disappointed many times in many different ways. But this generation, they know that if they don't build our country, if they don't fight for our rights, they're not going to have a happy life anywhere.
I think in regards to what you have told us about earlier demonstrations and situations, I was thinking about the actual. It's in Iran. It's a big part of the population that is well educated, and the women in Iran are very highly educated in some parts. So, do you think has that led also to this moment now that it creates a strong momentum, I would say accept this power things, but do you think the education for women, and you are many, does that matter?
You know, it's about basic human rights. You don't need to have a PhD to realize that as a woman you are experiencing sexism. You see my point? So it's so obvious, and wow, some grandmas, they are amazing. And no, they don't have PhDs. And they have been fighting for their rights, you know, even, you know, in their families. They're inspirational.
Back to the protests, we wanted to know how are they organizing themselves? What is happening? Does he have seminars? Does he have Facebook pages? How are people being organized on the ground?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Inside Iran, there is no plan. People just, you know, well, okay. And usually, you know, speaking of protests, so for example, in this particular example, after Mahsa Amini was killed, then yes, people just came out and they started protesting, right? And then the police show more violence. For example, they attacked university campuses, especially one university campus. It's called Sharif University, and actually the police do not have the right to enter the campus. It's according to our law, but they did. And then after that, again, people decided to continue their protests. And then they attacked high schools and even recently elementary schools. So I think this is like one after the other. And when we see more violence, then we have a lot of reasons to come out and you know, continue protesting. So this is how, unfortunately. So it's like more violence, more protests. Recently, some local groups have been shaped, but still they do not lead the protests. But like, for example, there, you know, if you're a woman, because a lot of women are doing this, they take off their headscarves, or if they have a friend who has the headscarf and that person is also anti-government, they hold their hands and they start just walking. You know, their existence in that way is a form of, you know, activism. And yes, I have seen a lot of these pictures on social media, all right? So they do that, and then a lot of cars, they start, you know, reacting. So this is how, and then, you know, it gets attention, and then people join, and then they immediately, the government sends their forces to suppress, and this is how it shapes, unfortunately. So this is basically more violence, as I said, more violence, and then more protests.
Would it be fair to say that the reaction on the ground in Iran is almost organic? So you've already got, you know, big families, close-knit ties, a community feeling with neighbors. So you kind of end up talking, everything goes by word of mouth. And like you explained, you get two girls holding hands without their headscarves on, and then suddenly it starts something going. I think
to be honest, no, because it's not so easy to trust your neighbors. You know, this kind of, you know, surveillance is always with you. So I really don't think like neighbors really talk. but no, not that way. And sometimes even people join protests without telling their families or friends.
That's got to make things very difficult.
Very difficult, exactly, yeah. Because families usually they tell you, no, it's so dangerous, don't go. All right. So I have attended protests before without telling my family members. Even your husband, you don't tell, and then you end up fighting each other. you know, yeah, because they're like, no, it's so dangerous. I get worried about you, so you don't tell them. And communities, no, it's not like I wish. Yeah, we could have those communities, but no. So really, people individually, they go and they find each other, even outside. I cannot easily trust.
That probably helps in that you never really know where the next protest is going to be, so the
Exactly.
forces can't stop it immediately or beforehand, so they
Well, one
can't.
thing.
Yeah. One thing which is related to your topic is that, for example, when they attacked that university, I saw a lot of tweets like, people come, they are killing students here, and then a lot of people joined protests in front of the university. In that case, I saw that, and I think it was so helpful, and they could kind of help students.
But
that organizing happened through tweets and through
yeah,
Twitter
yeah,
platform.
tweets basically,
Okay,
tweets,
yeah.
and on Instagram as well, but tweets, yes.
And people responded very quickly, you said.
Yeah. Because that area usually, yes, because some streets, for example, in Tehran, I know, those streets are kind of famous. If you want to protest, you usually go there. Okay, those areas, like it's like central Tehran. But you, for example, know that the northern part usually, no, not really. So people usually go and, and they see what's going on, and then gradually, it starts. It's not like a huge group of people. No, it's not like that. They gradually join. And I think, yes, then social media can be really helpful.
With all the fear and with all the distrust, everything that's going on, there is a lack of being organized. Everything is happening in a natural development way. And we talked a lot about the hopes for your generation, the hopes for the younger generation. So overall, what are the hopes for the whole Iranian crowd from what's happening right now? What do they want ultimately to achieve?
Zan, Zendegi, Azadi.
So woman, life, freedom. We borrowed this slogan from Kurdish women. And I really want them to be part of our revolution as well. So we learned a lot from Kurdish women, and Mahsa Amini was a Kurdish Iranian girl. So yeah, this is the hope.
Yeah, it's not a straightforward situation, and
Not at all.
no, and that's unfortunate. But big things doesn't happen with an easy route and a straightforward situation. We've gone through everything that we would like to discuss with you. I'm sure that if we keep the conversation ongoing, we would go for
We
hours.
can talk
Take
hours and hours.
Thank you so much for your time. We really
Of course,
appreciate this.
of
This is
course.
very helpful.
Of
Thank you
course, it's
very
a
much.
very
Thank you.
great topic. So good luck with that.
No, thank you for giving us the opportunity and the time. And
Sure. Yeah, thank you, and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you very
too.
much.
Bye.
Bye bye. With this, we conclude our podcast. We are very grateful for the opportunity to have our guest for today. We hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to share your thoughts via the comment section on our website, and don't forget to check our Twitter account and LinkedIn account. Act digital.